Hello, everyone. I'm Sam Eckmann of Gold Derby, and with me is Sadie Sink, Stranger Things star, playing Max. And we've always loved Max on this show, but she's really become a huge centerpiece of season 4. So I'm curious, what was your reaction when you realized you were going to get to perform all this like really beautiful material?
Yeah, I mean, I was over the moon. It felt like a big responsibility to kind of like carry such like an emotional part of the show. But I was really excited and like grateful to Matt and Ross for kind of trusting me with this storyline. Um, and yeah, I kind of before I read the scripts, they kind of hinted at a few things. So I was like a little prepared for what was coming, but nothing compares to like actually like reading that text and fully realizing what exactly I'll be having to do.
Yeah, she's dealing with, a lot of trauma this season. How did you have to prepare any differently for this type of role? Because she's very shut off and very closed off from her friends this
Yeah,
time.
I think yeah, especially for like contrasting like season 3 Max, who was very, she was a kid. It was summer, obviously Stranger Things, so you're dealing with the supernatural elements, but like for the most part it was pretty, lighthearted, as lighthearted as it can be. But for season 4, she was just in a much darker place and in a real state of like depression and isolation. So I think it did take a little bit of like prep and just kind of like thought and like journaling here and there and just kind of figuring out what exactly that would look like on Max and tapping into those like innermost feelings and everything that's haunting her and eating away at her.
Yeah, I think one of the places where that sort of really comes to light most is in episode 4, which is a very big episode for you. The letter that she reads to Billy at the grave is so emotional and so impactful, and you don't have a scene partner to read it to. It's just you. So what was that experience like?
I mean, I was really excited to film that scene because I know I love a good monologue, so I was happy that I got to do one. Um, and especially for that moment for Max to reading the script, I was like getting very emotional just because this is a character that doesn't let anyone in. Like she never wants anyone to know what she's thinking or feeling. So for her to have like kind of like poured her heart out in that letter and for everything to kind of just crumble just a little bit was I don't know, very it's like heartbreaking to read. And so doing that scene, it felt like a big release. And I don't want to say like it was like nice to kind of like do that, but it was nice to just have Max crack a little bit and like let she's not with anyone, so no one's seeing this, but for her to have that moment for herself where she's grieving and she's kind of admitting to the pain that she feels and the guilt that she feels.
And must be such a like huge contrast between doing that and like, running through haunted houses and tracking down demons and all that.
For sure.
um and that, this season, as sort of there's more trauma, it goes into more of a horror element and a darker element this season. What has that been like? Does that change the atmosphere on set?
Yeah, for sure. I think like the scenes are definitely a lot darker and more physical, and there's lots of moving parts, and even in the group scenes too. So there were certain days that were just longer because the shots were just so technical, but I think the overall energy was just very, very focused this year with lots of fun like mixed in between. But it was kind of it was like a very like I felt like just kind of watching how like the young actors on the show have progressed and how the Duffers have like trusted us with a little bit more of like some like meaty material has been, it was like cool to watch. And I'm glad that like we could handle it, I guess.
Well, I would say you have probably one of the most talked about moments right now when Vecna comes for Max in episode 4. It is so terrifying and tense and emotional. What was your first, when you have to film that, Jamie walks out in all that makeup as Vecna. What was that first reaction like?
I think I was so horrified at what I was looking at. It just looked so real. It was unlike, I mean, I can't even describe what it's like looking at that in person. And the fact that it got to a point where it was like, oh yeah, hey Jamie, like it's just kind of mind boggling considering the fact that like, considering the point where we started, we're just seeing him for the first time. And I was busting out laughing because I didn't know what I was feeling. I was like, I'm scared, but it's also like cool. I don't know.
And I think what makes that scene, you know, when he has you like tied to that post and it's
Yeah, whatever that is.
she's yeah, I don't know what to call that, but it's, you know, could very likely be the moment of her death, and she discovers all these memories again of joy and love throughout the season. But obviously you didn't have a memory reel with you on set, so what was that moment like? How did you kind of conjure all those emotions for yourself?
Um, luckily, like you know, like in the script it kind of like references like the key moments and stuff, so yeah, you're thinking of all of those little bits that we see in the final edit. But yeah, it's such a it's really like an empowering moment, and just to kind of see someone like Max who's in a ton of pain, and like Vecna had kind of like mentioned her before, was like, or told her that like, you know, she wanted to give up essentially. And so for her to be in that moment, like, and you know, looking death like right in the eye, and then to kind of see her friends like show up for her and encourage her to like fight, is it's like I think it's like really special and like a huge moment for Max, just on like a, in terms of like a you know, her kind of being a little like resilient and choosing that for herself. So yeah, and then of course like on the day, like none of that was there, and it's kind of hard to imagine that, but Kate Bush was playing, so it was nice to have that. I don't know, that assist.
Well, I was gonna ask, were you aware of Kate Bush's music before this? Because I feel like now you two are like tied together for life.
I mean, I didn't know her music before, and then as soon as I saw like that song in the script, just from like that scene in the hallway where Max is walking and it says that song is playing, I'm like, okay, like okay, I'll listen to this song. And I listened to it, and I was like, what is this? This is amazing. I love this, and it just kind of felt, it felt like Max. Like I don't know, it's kind of like Max's theme in a way, and yeah, it is at this point, but like it just, I don't know, something about it just really like resonates with her. But yeah, I feel like I feel like Kate Bush is some kind of fictional character that I've created in my head, and I've been listening to her music so much since like I read it in the script. So I would love like to meet her one day, or like I need to like write her a letter or somehow get in touch with her, because, and just I need her to like prove to me that she is a real person.
Well, she did, you know, have that great response she released to the show, so she is a fan. She's watching.
Yes.
So who knows what's in the cards one day. It's a good artist to be tied to, I think. What is it like filming a scene like that? Like how much is actually physically there versus has to be green screened in, because it's the upside down?
So for like the red like Mind Layer or whatever we're calling that, that there was like a big like platform kind of, and the stairs were there. A lot of those bigger pieces were there, but everything in the sky, all the floating objects were obviously not there on the day. And Vecna was there, which was good. But one of the trickiest parts was, well, there's two parts that were really tricky for that entire sequence. I think the first one being like the vines and stuff, like none of that was there. So it was all just kind of like, you know, make believe. But I think the hardest part was something that you wouldn't expect, which is that Dacre, who plays Billy, was in Australia during the filming process for the scene at the grave. So he was unable to like come to the States to film that part. So they had a stunt double, like in like a wig and like his clothing and stuff like that, kind of stand in, and they just like shot over his shoulder. So to not really have like Dacre there was definitely like a kind of like it messed with my mind a little bit. I'm like, wait, it's Billy, but it's not Billy, I guess. I don't know. Like we'll see how this turns out. I'm not sure. But that was definitely the hardest part. But like we got through it and we made it work, and watching it, I'm like, oh yeah, like it looks like we're right there. So
Yeah, very impressive. You would never know watching it. And fans have really gone nuts for this scene. It's like what people are talking about. What has it been like experiencing that kind of reaction from the viewers?
I mean, it means the world, really. Like I didn't definitely, like when I was filming it and reading it and then watching it before the world watched it, I was like, oh, look, this is really epic. Like I think this is gonna be cool. But I definitely wasn't expecting this kind of reaction to it. So I'm glad that people were affected by it, and are appreciating it, and it's been like really amazing to see. And Kate Bush is topping the charts again. So there's that too.
Yeah, a lot of impact. I was curious, you mentioned sort of about her growing up a lot, and I think it's struck a lot of viewers because there's been so much time between these seasons that this main Hawkins gang that you're in, you've all grown up quite a bit between these seasons. What has it been like for you growing up and spending so much of your teen years with this series and this cast?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty incredible. And like just thinking, I was 14 when I joined the show, so I spent, it's been forever. And or I guess like 6 years or something. Yeah, something like that. But I don't know, I'm losing track. But such like formative years, and like your teenage years, and it's like the worst and the best and time of your life, I guess. So to have that experience while being on this show was I mean, it's amazing. And to have a cast of like kids around the same age, it's nice to have them to go through it together. But yeah, looking back on like the past seasons and just kind of watching like little baby Sadie and baby Gaten, baby Caleb, like it's and knowing that that's always going to be there. Yeah, it's sweet.
Mm. Well, it's kind of a bittersweet moment too, that there's just this one season left, because I don't really want it to end. But I'm glad they have an ending for it. Have you started thinking about like what what other types of roles you want to tackle, and what other types of projects appeal to you beyond Max?
Yeah, I mean, there's really no like specific type of role that I want to play. It's kind of one of those things, like I'll know it when I read it, but there's definitely like genres and stuff that I'd like to tap more into. I think I love horror, but I think like after Stranger Things, I think all the cast is in agreement. Like, yeah, we need to give our bodies a break. Like, so yeah, I'd like to kind of, I don't know. I'd like to go back to theater. Maybe that would be really interesting, and I would really fulfilling for me too. So I'd love to do that. But yeah, more kind of drama centered roles and projects that maybe don't have too much like supernatural stuff, like something a little bit different from Stranger Things. I kind of, I want to dip my toes into different kinds of projects, I guess.
Well, I know you were working with Darren Aronofsky in The Whale. I'm very excited to see how that turns out for you, because I love that play.
Yeah,
so I'm excited to have an adaptation. Yeah. Well, I know, before I let you go, there's two huge episodes of Stranger Things season 4 yet to come that will drop in July. Without spoiling a plot point, because we don't want that, but like, what's like 2 words that would really be a good teaser for those episodes?
Ooh, I mean, oh God, I think like just like war, like it's like a it's an epic ending. So I guess, yeah, like war, epic, like, and then tragic,
Oh God.
as every season finale for Stranger Things has been. There's always going to be an element of that.
Well, now you've left me very worried. I can't wait to watch the end. But thank you so much, Sadie, for sitting down talking Stranger Things with me. For everyone who is watching, make sure you're subscribed to Gold Derby. Keep with us here the rest of this season. Thanks again, Sadie.
Of course, thank you.